Okay, Awaken the Everyday Herbalist, lesson 2 of 52. This one, herbs versus drugs. So if you're going to be working with herbs, just right from the start, don't fall in the trap of comparing yourself to or being compared to modern medicine, doctors, or drugs. Herbalism is a completely different thing. On the same note, don't put herbs in the trap of just using them like drugs. They also are completely different, and this takes the core out of what herbalism actually is and what it can truly do. So herbalism specializes in health, whereas modern medicine more specializes in disease. It is sick care instead of health care. But we are fortunate to have it. If I go outside, I fall off our deck and I break my back, I'm gonna go to the hospital. I ain't gonna wrap myself in leaves. On the other hand, if I start having sinus issues this evening, I kind of ignore it, and tomorrow it's worse and it's gunky and feels terrible, I'm not gonna go and get an antibiotic. I'm gonna start doing teas and sinus steams and sinus rinses, and I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna have all my good beneficial gut bacteria along with me because I didn't kill it off with the antibiotics. And that is crucial. That good beneficial bacteria is crucial to my health, for my mood, for my digestion, for such a huge part of my health. And so that's with herbalism. You're always looking at what is the way that I can keep the healthiest and the strongest and still get better or maintain health. Typically, doctors do know disease and drugs. They specialize in this, but they typically don't know herbs. Herbalists do. I've taught a number of doctors and nurses who have all shared the same insight, that they'll have this few hours basically of herbs included in their study, and it's focusing on drug herb interactions and some ways basically to fear herbalism and to fear herbs. And if they want to learn herbs, they have to do that on their own study, on their own time. Example, these doctors and nurses sitting in my herbal school. So not to say that none of them do, but you usually know that you're speaking to a doctor that does understand herbalism. So herbalism, on the other hand, focuses on health. We're talking about actual health. That kind that when you first learned of, that disease that really rocked 2020, that kind of health you wish you had. That's the kind of health we're talking about today. There's so much focus on just not getting sick or getting better when you are sick. We forget the value of actual health and well-being. And so that's what we kind of focus in on herbalism. Can you tend to symptoms? Can you tend to illnesses? Yeah, absolutely. But that's not our first thing. It's about how to stay so healthy that your body's taking care of it all along the way, feeling good. They really help bring balance to an imbalanced system, and they feed organs in your body so that it can better do stuff for itself. That's why herbs work slower, is because they feed the body what it needs to do different processes and do them more efficiently. An example, you can pee. You can pee by yourself. But if you take an aquaretic or a diuretic herb, you're going to pee much more freely and much more easily. A process you can do, but a process you can do much more easily with an herb. Same thing with all kinds of different, from hormone balancing to digestion and so forth. Herbs can help your body to help itself. And I will say herbs, the more powerful the actions, sometimes the more noticeable a side effect. An example would be like coffee. Coffee is an herbal tea. It gives you energy, but the side effect can sometimes be heart palpitations and so forth because it's a strong herb. But herbs honestly tend to have side benefits instead of side effects. An example would be meadowsweet. If you were to be taking meadowsweet to alleviate pain, you might note that a side benefit of meadowsweet is it helps to reduce the occurrence of NSAID, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. It helps to prevent ulcers caused by them. So if you found yourself taking more of those than you would have liked, or more than you like currently, this meadowsweet is helping to prevent getting those ulcers from it. I mean, that is a side benefit if I've ever heard one. And again, herbs are not drugs. They do not want to be. You don't just pop a pill of herb instead of a pill for a drug. And so herbs work with the body. They make the body stronger. They do it a little bit slower, and they cannot always replace drugs. For example, an herb can work with your body if your body is still capable of doing something for itself. And so the herb nourishes you so that you're more capable to do this. An example of where it wouldn't maybe work is where if someone has diabetes and their body cannot make insulin, there's no herb out there, if your body can't make insulin, that can just give you insulin. And so then that person might reach for modern medicine. And that's good. We're so grateful that we have it. But if someone is pre-diabetic and needs help just regulating blood sugars, their body can do it, but they need support. Blueberry leaf, cinnamon, and certain herbs can help the body learn to regulate blood sugar a little bit better. And with diet and exercise, the blood sugar starts getting more regulated, and now the body is doing it for itself. I will also mention there's a lot of fear around herbs, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I may get into it, may not. Herb-related deaths are so freaking rare. It's hard to find one, honestly, that it was just like an herb properly used caused death. Hard to find. Drug interactions, even over-the-counter medications, very common. So there are way more deaths caused by modern medicine because they are acting more to the body than with the body. Again, you need them when you need them, but don't just go grabbing them immediately. That's where we've fallen out of balance in our society. And so looking at all this, what I hope you can carry forward is why herbs are taken the way that they are. It's the same as eating. So you eat breakfast, and then you're hungry again by lunch. That's because your body has used up this nourishment. And the same way with herbs. You take the herb, your body works with it, and it's like, ooh, okay, I'm ready for more in the evening. And that's why you may see 1 to 3 times a day on a herb. Think of it as food. And also why you need to take it for some of them up to a month or 2, maybe even longer, to see the benefit, because it takes the herb reaching inside of the body, working with it so that the body starts doing it for itself. It can take longer. I do want to put in an extra thing. It's this whole phytopharmaceutical crap out there. I feel extremely strong about, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. So where we have this, so bigger corporations, money making, blah, 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 has this obsession with patenting things and so forth. And science does need to use a reductionist method to be able to control and understand and study stuff. And so all that leads to taking herbs, breaking them apart into isolates and active compounds or constituents. And so there's this one little thing that people will display as the herb. It's like, yes, curcumin is the active constituent of turmeric. Bull crap. The whole plant is what is safe. The whole plant, all these different constituents that we can't even begin to find how many constituents right now are in a single plant. And so that is no longer the plant. When you see stuff at GNC or whatever these stores are, and it's like saw palmetto 1,000 times stronger than saw palmetto. That ain't saw palmetto. Don't even be calling yourself saw palmetto. That's where there can be risk with herbs coming in, because it isn't an herb anymore. I don't know what it is, but it's not an herb. And so you want whole plant medicine, and that's something that you can make yourself, whether it's bringing in a plant and making a tea or a tincture. It's something you can make in your kitchen. You don't need lab equipment. You don't need dangerous chemical solvents. None of that is herbalism anymore. It's what you can make in your kitchen. That's why it's important to awaken the everyday herbalist, because the stuff that you're being sold out there a lot of times in stores, that ain't herbalism anymore, y'all, and it ain't even safe.